Hello, lovely people of the internet. Brian here from NintendoEverything.com, and I'm joined by John once again to discuss what Nintendo did at E3 2015 last week.
How's it going, Brian?
Good. So, we're a little bit late on this. Both you and I have been pretty busy, and we're just now getting around to it, but that might be for a good thing, because, we're both refreshed, and you can kind of talk about this with some sense, I guess.
Yeah, the dust has settled on last week, and we can kind of look at it from the outside in and kind of just take it all in from what it is.
Yep. So I think we're going to start out just by talking about our general impressions of the digital event and everything that happened last week. So I guess let's just specifically talk about the digital event first. And what are your thoughts about it as a whole?
I mean, I thought the actual event itself was pretty... I mean, like, as far as the puppets all go, like, that was pretty fantastic. Like, that was definitely one of the better presentations in recent years. I thought all the little puppet sketches were actually... I thought they were a nice touch, and they definitely, like, caught me giggling a couple times. As far as the content itself goes, I mean, I'm pretty sure all Nintendo fans kind of knew going in, like, it was going to be somewhat disappointing, because it was a transition year, but I thought there was definitely some good stuff to come out of it. But, like, overall, it would be pretty hard to top, last year, and it was a little bit safe, but... I thought there were definitely some good things.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I mean, last year was just, like, excellent. We saw Zelda for the first time. I kind of like those robot chicken sketches that they did as well. And this year we got the puppets, which were pretty charming. And obviously the games are what matter the most. And in my opinion, it wasn't the best. But as you said, we kind of went into this a little bit with an expectation that there wasn't going to be a ton of stuff there. We knew that Zelda obviously wasn't going to be there. And we know that NX is on the way, so, that kind of limits things in a way in terms of what Nintendo was going to show.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, we're all secretly hoping there'd be some big reveal or some big surprise. And, we got a couple little things here and there, but, overall, I think we all got what we were expecting.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that I was kind of hoping for a surprise at the end because, that Super Mario Maker ending kind of just went on too long. They had that weird kind of fan video. I don't know, just some of the segments went on a little bit long as well. Like the Yoshi's one, I don't really think, in my opinion, it needed to be that long since we had a pretty big showing last year of that, and it's coming out in Europe in just a few days, actually, so...
Yeah, it's weird that, you think about, like, some of the lengths of the segments in the conference, considering that they had the event the week prior with the Smash Brothers stuff. Like, if they had to go through and pad out some of those sections that much... why have the two separate events? Like, it may have kept things a little bit more snappy and more content heavy if they'd kind of maybe not rolled it into one, but, left something for, the big conference.
Yeah, and honestly, thinking about it, I almost feel like that micro Nintendo Direct that they had kind of hurt them a bit, because if they had saved something like Bravely Second localization for this digital event, or just something like right after it, like they did with Fantasy Life last year, that could have boosted things a bit, I feel.
I mean, it wouldn't be a Nintendo conference without some questionable decisions, but it is what it is, and why don't we get to some of the stuff that was kind of outlined in the bigger conference?
Yeah, we could start out with Super Mario Maker, because that was a pretty big game. We saw it first at the Nintendo World Championships, and it looked amazing, honestly. There were some pretty crazy levels being showcased in that event, and then, of course, we got another look at it towards the end of the digital event on Tuesday.
Yeah, it just seems like the more we see with that game, the more excited we all seem to get. Like, they just kind of seem to be ticking all the boxes one by one. It came out through... I don't think it came out during the event itself, but, like the later half of E3, that the physics of every game are going to be kind of true to every entry as much as is possible. I mean, you still have some stuff where I think, like, you can still scroll left, which, I mean... I don't know where you sit on that, but I mean, depending on what kind of level you're trying to build, that could be kind of a big deal. But the sharing looks competent. I really like how they were saying that you have to be able to finish your own level once before you upload it, and just the little things like that. It's just every time they like drop one little nugget like that, it just kind of gets me more and more excited for September when it comes out.
Yeah, and I'm really relieved about the online features, because it sounds like those are going to be pretty up to snuff, and you're going to be able to do a lot in terms of just like sharing levels with others and uploading them. And as you said, you need to make sure that you can actually beat the level before you can share with other people. So I feel like that was pretty smart on Nintendo's part.
How much do you know about the kind of integration? I know during the direct itself, we saw, Mario like with the mystery mushroom power up, which I guess is a new thing for Super Mario Maker. That we saw him transform into the Wii Fit trainer, Marth, Link. But did anything else sort of come out throughout the rest of the week in regards to how that'll operate with Amiibo?
I think that was pretty much it. There was the 2 new Amiibo that were actually leaked beforehand, and then we got those confirmed. There are 2 8-bit Mario Amiibo that are coming, and you can just use it to make Mario big, and it kind of gives the look on the screen a bit of a retro look. And in terms of the other Amiibo, like the Link Amiibo, Kirby Amiibo, etc., you can just use them as alternate character skins. So I guess that's a neat feature.
Yeah, I mean, got to get those use out of Amiibo somehow, and I guess it's just another way of doing it.
Yep. So yeah, I think that was pretty much it on the Super Mario Maker front. We got a ton of footage of it. Again, it was featured in the Nintendo World Championships. We know a little bit more about Amiibo, and we saw online a bit more, so that's shaping up to be pretty good, and it's coming out on September 11th.
Yep, it's just I'm ready. I think we're all just ready.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's only a few months away, luckily.
Yep.
All right, we can briefly just talk about Yoshi's Woolly World, even though it's coming out in Europe in a couple of days. I think the only big thing here that we learned is that it's coming to North America on October 16th. Kind of stinks that we have to wait so long for it here, but not much that we can do.
Yeah, I mean, in Australia, we're used to having that kind of the other way. We've had that the other way for years and years and years, but it's always interesting when this kind of happens. I mean, I'll be able to pick it up in a couple of days from recording this, but yeah, I don't know why or how that happens, but yeah, I guess you guys are getting it in October, but I guess one of the big things that sort of came out of this direct is that, there won't be any sort of shortage of stuff to play, but I guess it does kind of stink a bit that you've got to wait the extra few months.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was pretty much it on Yoshi's Woolly World, even though it got a lengthy segment on the Nintendo Digital event. And another game that was featured pretty heavily, as expected, was Star Fox Zero. Finally got a proper unveiling of that title. You know that Platinum Games is developing it, and it's coming out this holiday.
Yeah, and so it was the first game to be shown during the Direct, but it didn't kind of paint the full picture, and we kind of got little trickles here and there throughout the rest of the week. So they've heavily emphasized the dual screen focus, that you've got to use you got the cockpit view from the gamepad, and then the larger stage view from from your TV. And I guess one of the big concerns was that, similar to Splatoon, that the gyroscope controls would be a big focus. And I think it just came out either at the end of E3 or very recently, that you can actually turn those controls off and have a more traditional Star Fox control scheme, which honestly I don't know how it's going to work it will obviously work like it did back on the 64, but with the second screen experience, it seems like that was definitely something they were trying to kind of push hard.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they're planning in terms of that, but all we know right now is that you can, in fact, turn off the gyroscope. So, yeah, I think that's a good thing, because a lot of people were complaining about the controls. People who played it at E3, and I think another thing that people weren't too happy about are the graphics. Yeah,
it seems very much in the line of for better or worse, in line of that Star Fox 64 style, which I guess is kind of uncharacteristic of first party Nintendo stuff. Well, I guess if Platinum's involved. But yeah, they're generally known for kind of pushing the graphical capabilities of all their kind of flagship titles, and that just kind of seems a little bit uncharacteristic of them. Yeah.
I guess we're gonna have to see what happens with that game, because it's kind of gotten a mixed reception. I'm still kind of excited for it, but kind of need to see more now.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we can move on to a little bit of talk about Skylander Superchargers, and you wouldn't think that we'd be talking about a game like that on here, but Nintendo did reveal that they've teamed up with Activision to include Donkey Kong and Bowser in the game as special guests, and there's going to be a mix of it's basically both of those characters are getting their own Skylanders / Amiibo, so basically it acts as both of those things.
Yeah, it's both of the functionalities in the same toy. That seems, I don't think many of us would have seen that one coming.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but I feel like it's kind of actually an important thing for Nintendo to do. Seeing them work with third parties and actually lending them lending their characters to another game like that is pretty important. Just maybe, I don't know if people were entirely happy that it took up so much time in the digital event.
It kind of got a lot of time in the event, but I mean, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting move. I like the thing that kind of baffles me is that having like the dual functionality on the NFC figures kind of just seems to go like totally against, you know, that rivalry that we built up kind of between the Skylanders and the Amiibo stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't play Skylanders. I don't know what your dealings like with that series, but I mean, I guess it's a step with a third party, so it's got that going for it.
Yep, I've only played a little bit of the Skylanders games. I played the first one on the 3DS, and I thought it was alright, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel like Skylanders as a whole has been received pretty decently. It's not a bad game from what I hear.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's move on to Xenoblade Chronicles X, and we finally know when that's coming out. We're finally going to get it on December 4th.
I'm so relieved that it's coming out this year because it just looks so good.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to take the spot that Zelda had in a way. Obviously, it doesn't have the same kind of attraction power as a Zelda game would be, but this is going to be a huge game.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to miss out on a Zelda, you know, I'm glad that Xenoblade was able to fill that spot because it's just going to be so content rich, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I love the first Xenoblade on Wii and new 3DS a ton, and I've replayed on the new 3DS and beat it again, so I could definitely say I'm a big fan of this series, and I'm looking forward to X as well.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've just started my second playthrough on the 3DS remake, and that'll hopefully tie me over till the end of the year. But man, I mean, it's reviewed well. Everything we've heard about it has just kind of been positive, and now we know when we're going to be able to get it, which is great.
Yeah, very good. All right, this is going to be another kind of strange game to talk about. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. You know, when people said that they wanted an Animal Crossing game on Wii U, I don't think that this was it.
And, you know, surely Nintendo must have known that, and just the way that game was revealed, I thought was just perfect. It's like, oh, it's Animal Crossing on Wii U. No, that's a board game.
Yeah, so it's basically, as you said, a dynamic board game, and not really the Animal Crossing games that we've come to know and love, so that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And obviously, Amiibo, as the name implies, is going to have a pretty big role in the game. Yeah,
so if I've got this right, is it a free to download thing, but then you can't actually interact with the game at all unless you have a compatible Amiibo?
That's sort of what I've been hearing, and I don't know how strange it is, but apparently it is coming to retail as well as a bundle that includes the game, 2 Amiibo figures, and 3 Amiibo cards. Okay,
that's right. Well, I didn't really know what to make of the game just based on the Direct. I mean, they kind of moved around the board, but, you know, what happened in between turns? Like, is it like more akin to a Fortune Street than a Mario Party? I mean, what do you actually do in the game?
I know that you're supposed to collect the most happy points by the end of the game.
Happy points, of course.
Yeah, so I haven't seen too much of the game just because I've been so busy the past week that I haven't really had a chance to properly look into it, but yeah.
It's slated for, actually, I don't know if we actually got a release date on that one, but, you know, it's...
Holiday.
No, holiday, okay, so then... More amiibo during the holiday period. It's just, I'm sure that's just what every collector wants to hear.
Yep. I know that those figures are probably going to get snapped up pretty quick, and I'm sure people are interested in those cards as well.
Oh, and that's gonna count double for a game that requires... If we have the same sort of supply constraints that we've had for just about every other wave on a game that is so reliant on these amiibos to play, I really hope they've learned from their past mistakes. Otherwise, this is going to be more disastrous than it has been in the past.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. That's going to be bad. All right, let's move on to Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem. We've kind of talked about this before, and saw another trailer. Didn't have any English subtitles or anything, so kind of weird seeing that in the digital event, because I'm sure a lot of people didn't know what was going on.
It took me a good long while to kind of work out that it was that title that was being referenced.
Yeah, it wasn't entirely clear, and I don't know if the lack of English subtitles helped things, but I'm personally looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, it definitely looks like it's got the makings of a good Shin Megami game, and kind of working with it with the Fire Emblem elements are definitely going to help make it stand out. Because I guess one thing we've got to consider with this game is that I guess even though it's not coming to a Nintendo platform, but Persona 5 is kind of, it's meant to be coming out at the end of the year, but who knows? Either way, it's going to kind of come out within the region of this game by the looks of it, and it's good to see that this game's making steps to stand out from the mainline Persona entries. The big thing I saw was the Fire Emblem triangle kind of weapon system seems to be in the game in some capacity.
Yeah, I think that's in there, and there are little nods to Fire Emblem, like on the battle screen results. I know I heard the Fire Emblem kind of what do you call it? Those little chimes, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's what they need to do to kind of compete with the main. I mean, I guess they're not really competing it because they're on the two separate platforms, but to kind of keep the experience fresh and keep it a little bit different to what else is kind of going on in that space.
All right, so that's coming out next year. So that's one Wii U game that we know that's coming out next year alongside Zelda. One game that's coming out this year again is Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, and yeah, I'm not really sure how to feel about this one because I've never been like a huge Mario sports fan. Like I have the tennis one on the 3DS, which I didn't think was that great, and I have the golf one for 3DS in my backlog. So yeah, I don't know how you feel about this one.
I mean, the Mario sports games have always kind of been a big, couch hit, I guess, in my household. Particularly the GameCube ones, just because that's kind of the one we grew up sort of playing. But I know, speaking on Mario Tennis specifically, that the 3DS one, wasn't particularly well received, just because it didn't really add anything that we hadn't seen before, and I know the online features were either non-existent or just really lacking. And just looking at the footage for the Wii U one, I mean, I guess the big hook this time around was the I think what they're calling the mega battles, where you have the big mushrooms that kind of are a double-edged sword in the sense where you have a much bigger reach across the court, but then you're also a bigger target to actually get hit by the ball. And I guess if that's their big hook for the game, I'm just wondering if that's going to be enough to kind of justify another entry. Because if it's more of the same, I don't know how much that's kind of going to stand out.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what else they're going to do with it, honestly, because I don't know, the Super Mushroom thing, the Mega Mushroom, doesn't seem like a big hook / way of really changing things up to me.
It seems like one of those things that, I mean, it's Nintendo, so who knows, but it's just on paper it seems like one of those things that you would just kind of try once or twice and then kind of go back to the classic Mario Tennis mode.
Honestly, I'd love to see something like the Game Boy Color one that they did a long time ago. I don't know if you ever played that one.
Oh, with the Camelot ones I know the GBA one was Camelot, but you're talking about with the RPG elements and all that kind of...
Yeah.
I know Mario Golf did that on 3DS, and that was really well received because of it. I'm not sure how that'll sort of fit in on a home console setting, but I'd totally be on board for more of that style of mode.
Yeah, I guess we'll just see what else is new, because right now I'm not entirely sure about it, but if there is enough here that's new and interesting, I might consider picking it up.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was pretty much it for Wii U. Yeah.
There is one little shout out I want to give. It's not directly related to the Nintendo conference, but it's Just Dance 2016, so it is coming. It is coming to the Wii U, but there was a beautiful moment. I don't know if you saw it in the Ubisoft conference where Jason Derulo was giving a performance, and he tried to get Aisha Tyler up to kind of get involved, and she was just kind of having none of that. I didn't see that. I'd absolutely recommend go looking it up. That was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. Anyway, that's all I have to say about Just Dance. That's where my knowledge of the series starts and ends.
All right, so we can move on to 3DS then, and we might as well talk about Zelda Triforce Heroes. Another kind of unexpected surprise, because obviously we knew that Zelda Wii U wasn't going to be at this digital event, but we did get a Zelda game, and that was this. I mean,
it's unexpected, but it's built into the pre-existing engine that we got with Link Between Worlds. So I mean, it kind of makes sense. What the thing I found really funny about this game was that so it's Triforce Heroes. It's a 3-player game, not a 4-player game. And the reason they were spouting for that was because 4 links on top of each other would be too tall.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. So, this is just a completely multiplayer-centric Zelda game, though you also can play alone. That they've confirmed.
Yep. Did you ever play much of the Four Swords on either GameCube or I guess the remake one for 3DS or the Game Boy Advance original one?
I played a little bit of the DSiWare one that they did. I never got around to playing the GameCube one, which I really regret.
Yeah, I mean, it just had such a high barrier of entry, having to have the GBASPs for every player. But I mean, I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of play that one start to finish, and I had a blast with it. I guess this one's a little different in the sense that I know for a lot of people, the online multiplayer. I mean, it's got local and online multiplayer, and experiencing it online without voice chat may be kind of a different experience to, what we had, from a a local co-op experience. But I mean, it's just like it's worked. It's a formula that's worked in the past, and I'm definitely excited for it, even if it is a little bit safe.
Yeah, when they officially announced it, I was not entirely sure what to make of it. I was a little bit skeptical, but they showed it a little bit more during the Treehouse segments and everything, and I think I'm on board for now. Yeah,
and it's a couple of customization options with the emphasis on the outfits that were kind of outlined in that trailer. We saw a Link dressed as a Zelda, a Link dressed as a big bomb, and I don't know, that's a neat little thing.
Yeah, so I guess we will see what happens with that game, and surprised how soon it's coming out. It's actually slated for the fall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they already had a lot of the assets still to work with, but that's definitely welcome news that it's coming out so soon.
Yep. All right, so we can talk a little bit about Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. And did they actually show this during the digital event itself? I'm not entirely sure.
I don't think they did. I mean, I'm definitely way out of my depth with this series. It's not something I've ever really touched, but I don't remember it being shown in the event.
Yeah, but Nintendo did mention it in its official announcement following the digital event and reconfirmed that's coming out this holiday.
Cool. Have you had much dealing with the series?
I have not. I've only played the mainline Pokemon RPGs, so yeah.
Right. Well, I guess it's just more of that. I guess. Who knows? It'll be out soon. Yep.
All right, another game we can talk about, Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, and that's coming out on September 25th.
This is another one I don't really know what to make of. So
yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, honestly.
So it's an Animal Crossing game focused on the interior and exterior designing of your house, with the big hook being based around the card amiibo. So I believe this is one of, if not the first use of the card amiibos that Nintendo have been sort of spouting for a while now. But yeah, I mean, just I wonder if taking that element of Animal Crossing in isolation is kind of what fans of the series are after.
Yeah, and it's obviously not a traditional Animal Crossing game.
No, but yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll have a good model with the card stuff, and again, hopefully the supply will be decent enough that if people want it, they can kind of have access to it. I mean, I'll probably give this one a miss because that's kind of not what I'm looking for in an Animal Crossing game. But I guess for what it is, it seems like there's a good wealth of content there.
Yeah, and in any case, it comes out on September 25th, and there's going to be a bundle that includes the game, an amiibo card, and the NFC reader-writer accessory.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Alright, so we can move on to Yokai Watch, and this one I'm actually interested in because we've been waiting for it for a long time. Kind of gives off those Pokemon vibes a little bit, and Level 5 makes good stuff, so yeah, interested in Yokai Watch.
The big thing for me, the big takeaway for me from this conference was one of the big reasons why it's so big in Japan is because of all the the cross media promotion that they've got going over there. The TV shows, the movies. We've reported that on the site. Since the first one came out in Japan, however many years ago that was, and do you know how much, if any, of the other stuff is sort of coming over to the West with the game, or is it just the game at this point?
I think they're bringing over the anime, and I think a comic they're bringing over. think that might. I'm sure they're bringing over the toys as well. So yeah, I'm sure they're going all out on the franchises in the West.
Okay, that's good. I think that's going to be like important to establishing it as the franchise. But yeah, no, if they're making those steps, I'm really interested to see kind of how that one plays out and to see if it catches on in the West like it did in Japan.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see, and I'm just happy that we're getting this game because it looks very good.
Yeah,
and it's kind of going to fill the Pokemon vibe that we're missing a little bit this year because we're not getting a mainline Pokemon game, so maybe fans of that series can try giving Yokai Watch a chance.
Yeah, I mean, based on what I've heard, I think it's still kind of targeted towards a younger demographic, so it's probably still not going to scratch that itch of a more difficult Pokemon, but I guess as you said, we're not getting a mainline Pokemon this year, so that'll definitely fill that void.
Yep. All right, we can now talk about Fire Emblem Fates, reconfirmed for 2016, and it also sounds like we are getting both versions in the West, because in Japan, Nintendo has released, or is releasing, I think it comes out this week in Japan, they're releasing 2 different versions, and it sounds like we are going to get that same kind of, those 2 different versions here as well.
And from what I understand, you can buy one, but you can purchase the other campaign as a DLC?
Yeah, that's how it is in Japan. Nintendo hasn't really talked about what they're doing here for the West. I guess that's partially because it's not coming here for a while, but yeah, I don't know how they're going to handle it here.
Right, well, I mean, I can't imagine they'd bar off all that content, otherwise people would not be impressed, but yeah, I guess if it's coming out in 2016, we've got a fair while to kind of see how that one shakes out.
Yeah, have you played the Awakening on 3DS?
I did. I played it and I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm actually playing it through it now because my backlog is so bad and I'm just getting around to it and I'm really enjoying it, so I'm sure I'll be getting this one as well.
Yeah, and again, there's a little bit of an Amiibo. They've announced a little bit of Amiibo support in, I believe you tap in the Fire Emblem figures and you can battle and recruit them, which I guess is similar to Codename Steam.
Yep.
I mean, it's alright, I guess. It's another, really... I guess if you've already got the figure, it's a cool use of Amiibo, but I can't imagine... Well, maybe people will go out and buy it off the shelves because, they want to get Crom or Ike or whoever else in their game, but I don't know. It uses Amiibo.
Yeah. Okay, so we may as well move on to Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, and this one I am very happy about. Basically, they're merging the Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi series a bit. It's keeping the Mario and Luigi style of gameplay, but Paper Mario is going to be in there, and yeah, it's going to have the Paper Mario characters, and it's just a nice little mashup of the 2 different worlds.
I've played a couple of entries in both series. I'm not overly familiar with them, but what really stood out to me was like the puzzle platforming elements that you got in the overworld just seemed really, really involved. And I mean, the combat seems, as you said, more in line with the Mario and Luigi series, but the steps that they seem to be taking, with the overworld and the kind of progression on that end seemed like that was what really stood out to me and looked really, really interesting. So I'm definitely going to pick this one up just for that.
Same here, and I played Sticker Star on the 3DS, and I was not that big of a fan.
Yeah, it was really dialogue heavy or something.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, I didn't like the whole sticker mechanic and just using them in battle, so technically this isn't a Paper Mario game, but, I guess it'll kind of like scratch that itch in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
And that one's coming out in spring, spring next year, so a little while to go for that one, but hopefully the wait will be worth it.
Yep. So, I guess the next title, which we touched upon last week, was the Hyrule Warriors Legends, which is the 3DS... I don't know if you want to call it remake or whatever it is, the Hyrule Warriors for the Wii U, which has now been ported over to the 3DS with a couple of additions.
Yeah, so right now we know that Tetra and the King of Red Lion / King of Hyrule is going to be in there, which we knew about before, and we also put up a post on the site over the weekend from Famitsu. It was a translation of an interview they had with one of the game's developers, and he confirmed that there's going to be at least one more secret character in the game. That's
pretty exciting. Anything Wind Waker, even if it's not Wind Waker, I'm all on board with that.
Yeah, it could be that Linkle character, the female-looking Link.
Oh.
That might be the character.
It could also... Jeez, Linkle. If it's Linkle, oh my goodness.
It could also be like someone else from the Wind Waker, I guess, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and then to sort of supplement that, there was mention of a Wind Waker epilogue to the mainline story of the other Hyrule Warriors, which is cool. It's kind of nice that they're not just, like tacked on, like they're kind of, whatever that story is, they're kind of now enwrapped with all the other characters.
Yeah, and that suggests that we are going to get new levels, which is exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that comes out in Q1 2016, and like I said last week, I'm probably going to end up getting it.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Alright, so let's move on to, I guess, the final game, and it might be the most controversial out of everything Nintendo showed, and that's Metroid Prime Federation Force. So, just to give a little bit of background, in case, for whatever reason, you missed E3 week, Nintendo showed something called Blast Ball during the Nintendo World Championships, and people were starting to speculate that it might be a Metroid game, or at least it looked like a Metroid game because of like the HUD and everything that was being shown, but no one really knew for sure. And then, of course, we got to the digital event, and Federation Force was announced, and it was confirmed that Blast Ball is like a part of the main game. So Blast Ball is a 3-on-3 game where you're basically just shooting a ball into your opponent's goal, and then the main game, which is Federation Force, is where players take on co-op missions. So I don't even know where to begin with this one, really.
I guess my big question is, why did the Metroid Prime name have to be attached to it?
I'm just so conflicted about this because I was really, really praying for a new Metroid game for this digital event, and obviously we got one, but it really was not what I wanted it to be. Like, I just hate saying that because usually I'm open to everything, and I'm still open to this in a way, but man, it's not at all what I really wanted, because even if it was something like Hunters 2, I probably would have been okay with that, but this, it just doesn't feel like a Metroid game to me right now.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got 4-player co-op as one of your like big bullet points in a Metroid game, that just kind of seems to go against everything that the mainline series is known for. Like that isolation and exploring on your own. But you've got 4-player co-op missions with local and online multiplayer. That's kind of, it just seems very contrarian to kind of what we'd expect from a Metroid game.
Right, I mean, like, obviously Hunters had multiplayer, and that was fun, and it actually worked pretty well, but it still had a single player, which wasn't the best, but it kind of sort of retained that Metroid feel in a way. It still felt a little bit like you were alone a little bit, even with the other Hunters.
Yeah, like, it at least took the steps to try and capture some of the feeling of the mainline, or, what previous entries had done, whereas here, I don't know where the Metroid branding kind of fits. I don't know why it had to be attached to it. Like the players, sure, the HUD and the shooting mechanics all kind of look similar to Hunters 1, but outside of that, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just really kind of down on it, and I hate to sound like that because ultimately I'm gonna give it a shot, and I just want to see more. But just coming out of that digital event, I was kind of disappointed with it. And I mean, Next Level Games, yeah, this is made by Next Level Games, and they've been doing pretty well. They made Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, and they made the Punch-Out game on Wii, so I'm willing to give it a shot, but right now, I hate to say it, but I, along with a lot of other people, are just very skeptical right now.
It seemed to be the trend with a couple of games in the event this year.
Yeah, obviously there was this, even in a way like Zelda Triforce Heroes was kind of unexpected, even though it has that Four Swords vibe a little bit, so some kind of unexpected / strange things were shown. I
guess the big positive to take out of this event, though, is that we've got stuff coming soon, and there's definitely, even if everything's not for you, there's a stream of Nintendo games coming, which is really exciting, even if, every title's not necessarily what we were kind of after.
Yeah, I just guess we're going to have to wait and see what happens with all of this.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious as to what's going to happen next year with Wii U and the NX coming out, because we didn't see a whole lot coming out next year for Wii U.
Yeah, next year's E3 is going to be very interesting.
Like, we know that Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem is next year, but that's coming out this year in Japan. So, I don't know what Nintendo has in store, but I'm very interested to know.
Oh, we've got a whole year to recover from last week, and kind of a few games to tie us over until then.
Yep. So, yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I think we covered all the major games, right?
Yeah, that seems to be most of, if not all of the big games that were announced during the week.
Yeah, so I guess just one more brief talk. Your overall thoughts on the digital event?
I mean, I was disappointed, but I mean, we all knew it going in. And I thought, like, I really loved the puppets. And when the news came out that they were going to be reusing them, I was so happy. So, I mean, I was a little bit down on it, but, you know, there was definitely some nice surprises to come out of it.
Yeah, and I guess the other takeaway is that we have to remember that Nintendo does have Nintendo Directs that they do fairly often. So we're going to get more announcements throughout the year, definitely.
Yeah, and I guess even though it may not have lived up to, you know, the E3 hype, there'll be plenty of other opportunities that they can create on their own terms to kind of convey any sort of exciting information they've got for us.
Yeah, and I always remember that conference they had with Wii Music, and I feel like that set the bar in terms of one of the worst E3 performances you can have, so...
You know, worst, best, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, so just like putting things into perspective, this wasn't the best, and there were some disappointments along the way, but, you know, I always look back to that conference and tell myself it could be worse.
That's very true.
And there are some good things coming, so you have that to, you know, think about as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. There's like Super Mario Maker alone. I mean, how can anybody be down on that?
Yeah, just to mention off the record, my impressions of that have really improved over like the last year or so. Looks really, really good.
Yeah, definitely seems like Nintendo are listening, and that's good to hear.
Yeah, alright, so I think we're going to close things out on that note. Guys, let us know what you thought about the digital event. We actually have a Let's Talk topic going on the site, all about it, and you can even comment in the YouTube video below, or even on the comments for the video that we're putting up on Nintendo Everything. So yeah, I think we're going to sign off for now, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.